Ethan Hayes lived far from the busy parts of New Eden. He and his wife Laura had built a small cabin deep in the forest. The trees here were tall and thick, with dark green leaves that blocked most of the sunlight. The air always smelled of wet earth and strange flowers. Ethan liked the quiet. He had once worked as a biologist back on Earth, studying animals and plants. Now he just wanted a simple life, away from crowds and rules. New Eden was a young colony. Humans had come here only 20 years ago. The survey team said the planet was safe. There were animals, but none smart enough to cause trouble. No cities of aliens, no wars. Just forest, rivers, and open sky. Ethan and Laura grew vegetables in their garden, hunted small game, and traded with other settlers when they needed things like tools or medicine. One night a big storm came. Thunder rolled for hours. Rain hit the roof like stones. Ethan sat by the fire, fixing a broken chair. Laura read an old book under a lamp. Then, high above the trees, something bright crossed the sky. It moved too fast to be a meteor. A long trail of fire followed it. Seconds later, a loud boom shook the ground. The cabin windows rattled. Ethan stood up fast. "That was no storm," he said. Laura looked out the dark window. "A ship? Maybe, or something falling from space." Ethan grabbed his coat and a strong flashlight. Laura tried to stop him. "It's dangerous out there at night," she said. "Wait for morning. I can't just sit here. If someone crashed, they might need help." He kissed her forehead, took his rifle just in case, and stepped into the rain. The forest path was muddy. Water ran down his neck. He walked for almost 2 hours, following the direction of the light he had seen. The smell of burned metal grew stronger. Finally, he reached a wide clearing. A ship lay broken against the trees. The shape was long and curved, like a giant silver fish. Parts of the hull were torn open. Smoke rose from black holes. Pieces of metal lay everywhere. Ethan moved closer, careful not to step on sharp edges. He called out, "Anyone alive?" No answer. Only the sound of rain and small sparks. Inside the wreck he found bodies. They looked like large wolves, but different. Their fur was silver and blue, shining even in the dark. Long legs, strong jaws, intelligent eyes that were now still. There were 6 adults, all dead. Ethan felt sick. He had seen death before, but not like this. Then he heard a small sound, a weak whimper. He turned his light toward the back of the ship. In a small open space, 4 tiny cubs lay together. They were no bigger than Earth puppies, with soft fur and big round eyes. One tried to stand, but fell. Another cried louder. They were cold and scared. Ethan knelt down. "Hey, little ones. It's okay." The cubs did not bite. They were too weak. One sniffed his hand, then pressed against it. Ethan's heart hurt. He could not leave them here to die. He looked around the ship again. No food left, no heat. The adults must have tried to protect the cubs until the end. Ethan made a quick choice. He took off his coat, wrapped the 4 cubs inside, and held them close to his chest. They were light, but shivering. He spoke softly to them as he walked back through the forest. "You're safe now. I've got you." The rain stopped near dawn. The sky turned gray. Ethan reached the cabin just as the first light came through the trees. Laura opened the door before he knocked. Her eyes went wide when she saw the bundle in his arms. "What did you find?" she asked. "Cubs. Their parents didn't make it." Laura stepped back to let him in. Ethan set the coat on the floor near the fire. The cubs uncurled slowly. One tried to walk toward the warmth. Laura knelt beside them. "They're so small," she said, "and beautiful." Ethan nodded. The ship was not human. I think they were running from something, or going somewhere. Laura touched one cub gently. It leaned into her hand. "We can't leave them outside. They'll die." "I know." Ethan built a soft nest with old blankets and a box. Laura warmed some milk from their goat and mixed it with soft fruit from the garden. The cubs drank slowly at first, then faster. Their tiny tails moved a little. Ethan sat on the floor and watched them. One cub finished eating, then climbed onto his leg. Another followed. Soon all four were trying to get close to him. Laura smiled. "They like you." Ethan laughed quietly. "Guess I smell like safety." He leaned back against the wall. The cubs kept moving until they found his chest. They curled up there, one on top of the other. Their small bodies rose and fell with his breathing. Their warmth spread through his shirt. Ethan felt strange, not just pity. Something stronger, like they belonged there. Laura sat beside him. "What do we do now?" "We keep them alive. Then we figure out the rest." Outside, the forest was quiet again. Birds started to sing. The sun came up slow and pale. Inside the cabin, the fire crackled. 4 small cubs slept peacefully on Ethan's chest. Their soft breaths matched his own. Far away, deep in the trees, something moved. A large silver shape lifted its head. The alpha of the pack had survived the crash. His leg was broken, his side burned, but he still breathed. His nose caught a faint scent on the wind. His cubs, alive, with a human. His eyes narrowed. Pain and anger filled him. The pack had lost their home, their ship, their future. Now humans had taken the last thing they had left. The alpha rose slowly. He would take his cubs back, and the human who stole them would pay. But for now, the cubs slept, safe, warm, on a human's chest. Ethan did not know what was coming. He only knew the small lives trusted him, and for the first time in many years, he felt needed again. The first morning after the crash felt strange in the small cabin. Sunlight came through the windows in thin yellow lines. Ethan woke up slowly. His back hurt from sleeping on the floor. 4 tiny cubs still lay on his chest. They had not moved much during the night. Their soft fur felt warm against his skin. One cub breathed in small, quick puffs right under his chin. Ethan stayed still so he would not wake them. Laura came from the kitchen with 2 cups of hot tea. She looked at the scene and smiled a little. "They really trust you," she said quietly. Ethan moved his head carefully. "I don't know why. I'm just a big, loud human." Laura set the tea down and sat on the rug. One cub opened its eyes. It saw Laura and made a small, happy sound. Then it stretched its tiny legs and climbed down from Ethan. It walked on shaky steps to Laura and pushed its head against her knee. The other 3 woke up, one by one. They sniffed the air, looked around, and started to play. They rolled over each other, nipped gently at ears and tails, and made soft growling noises that sounded more like laughs. Ethan sat up. The cubs turned to him right away. 2 jumped back onto his lap. One tried to climb his shirt like it was a tree. Ethan laughed. It was the first real laugh he had in days. Laura watched them. "They need names. We can't just call them Hey You forever." Ethan thought for a moment. "Let's keep it simple. The biggest one with the dark stripe on its back can be Shadow. The one with the white tip on its tail is Tip. The smallest one is Pip, and the one that keeps licking my hand is Lick." Laura laughed. "Lick? Really? It fits." The cubs seemed to like their names. When Ethan said them softly, their ears perked up. They looked at him with bright eyes. It felt like they understood. Days passed quickly. Ethan and Laura worked together to care for the cubs. They made a bigger nest in a corner, with more blankets and soft moss from the forest. Laura learned what fruits the cubs liked best. The purple berries from the low bushes made them bounce around happily. Ethan hunted small rabbits and birds. He cooked the meat very soft so the cubs could eat it. Their teeth were sharp, but still small. The cubs grew fast. In just 1 week, they could run across the room without falling. They chased shadows on the wall. They played tug with an old sock. At night, they always came back to Ethan. When he sat in his big chair by the fire, they climbed up one by one. First Pip, then Tip, then Shadow, and finally Lick. They piled on his chest like it was the safest place in the world. Their small hearts beat against his. Ethan would rest his hand on them lightly. He felt calm in a way he had not felt since he left Earth. Laura noticed it too. "You look different," she said one evening. "More peaceful." Ethan looked down at the sleeping cubs. "Maybe they need me, and maybe I need them." Outside the cabin, the forest stayed quiet. But not far away, things were moving. The Alpha woke up slowly under a fallen tree. His name in his own language was Korak. Pain burned in his leg and along his ribs. The crash had thrown him clear of the ship. He had crawled away before the fire grew too big. For days he lay hidden, licking his wounds, waiting for strength to return. His pack found him, one by one. 5 others had lived. Not many. Too few. They gathered in a dark hollow. Korak stood tall even with his injuries. His silver fur was matted with blood and dirt. His eyes glowed yellow in the shadows. "The human took them," one of the pack said. Her voice shook with anger. Her name was Vara. Korak's ears flattened. "I smelled it. The scent trail goes to the wooden den." Another pack member growled low. "They killed our mates, our elders. Now they steal the young." Korak lifted his head. The wind brought faint smells. Wood smoke. Cooked meat. And under it all, the sweet, warm scent of his cubs. Alive. Fed. Safe. But with humans. Humans had come to this world many cycles ago. The pack had watched from far away at first. Then the hunters came, the ones in black ships with loud weapons. They called themselves an empire. They took land. They killed without reason. The pack had fought. They had lost. Their old home was gone. The ship was their last hope to find a new place far from war, and it had fallen here. Korak remembered the moment of the crash. Bright lights in the sky. A sudden hit. Not from their enemies. Something else. But in the pain and fire, it was easy to blame the new creatures on the ground. The humans. "We go tonight," Korak said. His voice was deep and rough. "We take back what is ours. We end the thief." The pack answered with low howls. Not loud. Not yet. They would save their voices for when they stood at the door. Inside the cabin, night came again. The fire burned low. Ethan sat in his chair with a book he was not really reading. The cubs were already on his chest. Pip snored softly. Tip twitched in a dream. Shadow rested his head on Ethan's shoulder. Lick licked Ethan's thumb once, then slept. Laura came over with a blanket. She put it over all of them. "You're going to spoil them," she said with a smile. "They deserve a little spoiling," Ethan replied. Laura sat on the arm of the chair. She touched Shadow's ear gently. "They're happy here. Look at them." Ethan looked down. 4 small bodies rose and fell together, trusting, calm. Part of him never wanted the moment to end. But outside, the pack moved closer. Korak led them through the dark trees. His broken leg hurt with every step, but he did not stop. The scent grew stronger. Smoke, humans, cubs. The pack spread out in a half-circle. They stayed low, silent. Their eyes caught the moonlight. They reached the edge of the clearing. The cabin stood in front of them. Light glowed from the windows. Warm, yellow, safe-looking. Korak stopped. His nose twitched. The cubs were close, very close. He took one step forward, then another. The pack followed. They would wait for the right moment, when the humans slept, when the guard was down. Then they would strike. But Korak felt something strange in his chest. Not just anger, something else. A pull, a question. Why had the cubs not cried out in fear? Why did their scent carry no smell of pain? He pushed the thoughts away. Vengeance first, answers later. The pack waited in the shadows, their eyes fixed on the cabin door. Inside, the cubs dreamed on Ethan's chest. Safe. The moon hung low and bright over the forest. Silver light filtered through the branches and painted the ground in pale patches. Ethan sat in his chair by the fire. The flames danced low now, mostly red coals. The 4 cubs slept in their usual spot on his chest. Pip snored softly. Tip's tail twitched once in a dream. Shadow pressed his small head under Ethan's chin. Lick had one paw curled around Ethan's thumb like he held on tight. Ethan kept his breathing slow and even so he would not disturb them. Laura sat across from him on the rug, knitting a small blanket from soft wool. The cabin felt warm and peaceful. Outside, the pack reached the edge of the clearing. Korak stopped first. His broken leg throbbed, but he ignored it. The other 5 adults spread out behind him in a wide half-circle. Their fur blended with the shadows. Their eyes caught the moonlight and glowed like small yellow fires. They moved without sound. No leaf rustled. Korak lifted his nose. The scent was strong now. Wood smoke, cooked meat, and clearest of all, his cubs. Their milk-sweet smell mixed with the human scent. It made his chest tighten. Anger burned hot inside him. These humans had taken everything. The ship, the elders, now the young. He would end it tonight. He took one step into the open ground, then another. The pack followed. They formed a loose ring around the cabin. Their low growls started soft, like distant thunder. The sound grew. It rolled across the clearing and pressed against the wooden walls. Inside, Laura's hands stopped moving. She looked up. Ethan, listen. Ethan opened his eyes. The growls came again, louder, deep, angry. The cubs stirred. Pip lifted his head. His ears flicked. Shadow whined once, small and confused. Ethan stood slowly. The cub slid down his chest and curled together on the chair. He walked to the window and looked out. Shapes moved in the dark. Large, silver, eyes everywhere. The pack, he said quietly. Laura stood beside him. They found us. Ethan took a deep breath. Stay inside with the cubs. Keep the door closed unless I call. He picked up nothing. No rifle, no knife, just his coat. He opened the door and stepped out onto the porch. The cold night air hit his face. The growls stopped for a moment, then started again, sharper. Korak stepped forward from the shadows. He was bigger than Ethan had imagined. Tall as a man on all fours, with thick silver fur scarred in many places. One front leg dragged a little. His eyes locked on Ethan. They burned with hate. The alpha stopped 10 steps away. The pack closed in tighter. Their teeth showed white in the moonlight. Ethan raised both hands, palms out. I don't want to fight, he said. His voice was calm and clear. I just want to talk. Korak snarled. The sound came from deep in his throat. It made the air shake. He took another step. Then another. The pack matched him. They were close now. Close enough to smell the blood on their breath. Ethan did not move back. He kept his hands up. Your cubs are inside. They're safe. They're warm. They're fed. Korak's ears went flat. He lowered his head, ready to charge. Ethan spoke again, softer. Come see for yourself. He stepped to the side and pushed the door open wider. Warm light spilled out onto the porch and the ground. The fire glowed inside. The cubs sat up on the chair. Their eyes went wide when they saw the pack. Pip yipped, a happy sound. Tip's tail started wagging fast. Shadow jumped down and ran toward the door on short legs. Lick followed right behind. Korak froze. The alpha's body went stiff. His growl died in his throat. The pack behind him stopped moving too, their eyes fixed on the open door. Inside, the cubs reached the doorway. They saw their father. They did not run in fear. They did not hide. Pip bounded forward first. He stopped just inside the light and yipped again. His small tail waved like a flag. Shadow pushed past him. The cub ran straight to Korak. He stopped at the alpha's front paws and looked up. Then he pressed his head against Korak's leg. A small, happy whine came from his throat. Korak did not move. The other cubs followed. Tip and Lick trotted out onto the porch. They sat down and looked at the pack with bright eyes. No fear, only joy. Ethan stayed where he was. He spoke quietly. They've been sleeping on me every night since the crash. They chose that spot. I didn't force them. Korak's eyes moved from the cubs to Ethan, then back to the cubs. Pip climbed onto the alpha's paw like it was a step. He nuzzled under Korak's chin. The big wolf lowered his head slowly. He sniffed Pip, then Shadow, then Tip and Lick. Each one greeted him with small licks and happy sounds. The pack behind Korak made soft, confused noises. Their growls faded. One female, Vara, took a step forward. She looked at her own cub, Lick, who waved his tail at her. Korak lifted his head. His eyes met Ethan's again. The hate was still there, but something else mixed in now. Confusion, doubt, a crack in the wall of anger. Ethan kept his voice low. I found them in the wreck, alone, cold, hungry. Their parents were gone. I couldn't leave them to die. Korak's ears twitched. He understood the words. Not all, but enough. The alpha looked back at the cubs. They played now. They rolled in the dirt near the porch. They chased each other's tails. They looked healthy, strong, happy. Korak's broken leg trembled a little. Not from pain this time, from something deeper. He took one step back, then another. The pack watched him. They waited for the signal to attack. But the signal did not come. Korak turned his head toward the forest, then back to the cabin. The light from inside fell across his face. It showed the scars, the tiredness, the weight of everything lost. Ethan spoke one more time. They need you, but they also need safety. If you take them now, they'll follow, but they'll remember this place. They'll remember me. Korak did not answer right away. He stood still for a long time. The wind moved through the trees. The fire crackled inside. Finally, the alpha lowered his head, not in defeat, not in surrender, in something closer to respect. He made a low sound, not a growl, a soft rumble. The pack answered with the same sound. They backed away slowly. One by one, they melted back into the shadows. Korak stayed last. He looked at Ethan again. His yellow eyes held steady. Then he turned. He limped into the trees. The cubs watched him go, but he did not chase. Ethan closed the door. He leaned against it for a moment. His heart beat hard. Laura came to him. She touched his arm. They left, she said. For now, Ethan said. The cubs ran back inside. They climbed onto the chair again. They curled up together, waiting for Ethan. He walked over and sat down. The cubs climbed onto his chest right away. They settled in, safe, warm. Outside, the night grew quiet again. The pack had come for vengeance. They had found something else. Korak moved through the dark trees. His pack followed close. No one spoke. In his mind, the image stayed sharp. 4 cubs, sleeping, trusting, on a human's chest. The Alpha did not know what came next, but the fire of revenge had cooled, just a little, and that little was enough. The next morning, the forest felt different. The air was cool and clear after the night's tension. Birds sang louder than usual. Sunlight came through the trees in bright golden beams. Inside the cabin, Ethan woke early. The cubs still slept on his chest in a warm pile. Their small bodies moved gently with each breath he took. Laura was already up. She stirred a pot of oatmeal on the stove. The smell of cinnamon and warm milk filled the room. Ethan looked down at the cubs. "They didn't run off last night," he said quietly. Laura turned. "They wanted to stay." He nodded. Something had changed. The pack had come ready to kill. They left without a fight, but he knew they were not gone for good. Around midday, a low howl came from the trees. Not angry this time, more like a question. Ethan stepped to the window. Korak stood at the edge of the clearing. Alone, the big Alpha waited. His silver fur looked cleaner now. The blood was gone. His broken leg still dragged a little, but he held his head high. Ethan opened the door. The cubs woke at the sound. They ran out onto the porch. Pip led the way. He yipped happily and raced toward Korak. The other 3 followed fast. They circled the Alpha's legs, tails wagging. Korak lowered his head. He let them nuzzle him. His yellow eyes stayed on Ethan. Ethan stepped down from the porch. He kept his hands open at his sides. "You came back," he said. Korak made a soft rumble in his throat. Not a growl, a sound like agreement. He looked past Ethan into the cabin. Laura stood in the doorway. She held the small translator device they had found in the wreck days earlier. She had worked on it every night, fixed wires, tested sounds. Now it glowed faintly in her hand. She walked forward slowly. "We want to understand," she said. "This might help." Korak's ears flicked. He sniffed the air near the device. Laura pressed a button. A soft voice came out. Simple words in the pack's language. "We mean no harm." The Alpha tilted his head. He made a short sound. The translator caught it and turned it into human words. Rough, deep, but clear. "You took our young." Ethan answered, "We saved them. The ship was broken. They were alone." Korak looked at the cubs. Pip sat between his front paws now. Shadow chewed gently on the Alpha's ear fur. Korak did not push them away. "Why?" Korak asked through the device. "Why save strangers?" Ethan thought for a moment. Because they were small and scared and no one else was there. Laura added, "We know what it feels like to lose things. We came to this world to start over, to be safe." Korak stood quiet. The wind moved the leaves above them. Then he spoke again. "We ran from hunters, black ships. They burned our homeworlds. We flew to find a new place. The crash, it was not you. It was their machines. We thought it was you." Ethan felt the weight of the words. "We're not with them. We're just people trying to live here." The Alpha looked at his cubs again. They played now, rolling in the grass, chasing butterflies. Happy sounds filled the air. Korak lowered himself slowly to the ground. His pack appeared one by one from the trees. 5 others, Vara first, then the rest. They stayed back, but their eyes watched everything. No growls, no bared teeth. Ethan pointed to the cabin. "Come inside, if you want. See they are safe." Korak hesitated. Then he stood. He limped forward. The cubs bounced around him like they led the way. The pack followed slowly. They entered the cabin one at a time. Their big bodies filled the small space. Fur brushed the walls. Claws clicked on the wooden floor. Laura set out bowls of water and cooked meat. The adults sniffed it, then ate. Slow at first, then faster. They had not eaten well since the crash. Korak sat near the fire. The cubs climbed over him. One curled against his side. Another lay across his paws. He let them. Through the translator, he spoke more. Our kind lives in packs. We protect the young above all. When we lost the ship, we lost hope. We thought the young were gone too. Then we found they're sent here, with you. Ethan sat on the floor across from him. They chose me. Every night, they slept here. He touched his chest. I did not ask them to. Korak's eyes softened a little. They feel your heart. It beats steady, strong, safe. Laura smiled. Ethan has always been good with animals. On Earth he helped injured ones, fixed broken wings, fed lost young. Korak listened. Then he shared more. The Empire hunts us because we do not bow. We move. We live free. They want control. They took our stars. We kept running. Ethan nodded. Humans know that feeling. We fought our own wars, lost homes, came here to be free too. The two looked at each other for a long time. Different kinds, different worlds, but the same pain, the same wish to protect what mattered. Korak stood slowly. We cannot stay close always. The hunters may come again, but we will not forget this. He looked at the cubs. They grow strong here, with food, with warmth, with you. Ethan said, they can stay as long as they want, or go when they are ready. We will not hold them. Korak made a low sound. The translator said, you are pack now. To them, to us. The words hung in the air, simple, heavy. The pack stayed for hours. They rested by the fire. The cubs played between human legs and wolf paws. Vara let Laura touch her fur, soft, careful, a small trust. When the sun started to lower, Korak rose. We go to scout, to heal, to watch. He looked at Ethan one last time. If danger comes, we will stand with you. And if you need anything, the door is open. Korak dipped his head, a sign of respect. The pack moved out. One by one they slipped into the trees. The cubs watched from the porch. Pip whined once, but he stayed. Ethan closed the door. He leaned against it. Laura came beside him. She put her arm around his waist. They see us now, she said, not as enemies, as something else. Ethan looked down at the cubs. They climbed back onto the chair, waiting for him. He sat. They piled onto his chest again. Warm, trusting. Outside, Korak paused at the tree line. He looked back at the cabin. Light glowed from the windows. 4 small shapes curled on a human. Safe. Loved. The Alpha turned away. His steps were lighter now. The weight of vengeance was gone. In its place grew something new. Understanding. And maybe in time, something stronger. Weeks turned into months on New Eden. The forests stayed green and alive. Rivers ran clear. The sky stayed mostly blue. Inside the cabin, life changed in quiet ways. The cubs grew bigger every day. Their legs stretched longer. Their fur grew thicker and brighter. Pip still led the games. Tip chased anything that moved. Shadow liked to sit and watch everything. Lick still licked hands when he felt happy. They no longer fit all on Ethan's chest at once. Now 2 or 3 would pile there, while the others slept on the rug or near the fire. Korak and the pack came often. At first, they stayed at the edge of the trees, then closer. Soon they walked right up to the porch. They brought fresh kills from the hunt, big deer-like animals with soft hides. Ethan and Laura cooked the meat and shared it. The pack ate outside, under the stars. Sometimes, 1 or 2 would come inside when the nights grew cold. Ethan learned their ways. Korak taught him the calls. Short, sharp barks for danger. Long, low howls for family. Soft rumbles for calm. Ethan tried them. His voice sounded rough compared to theirs, but the pack listened. They answered back. It felt like talking without words. Laura showed them human things. She made a simple sling from cloth to carry small loads. Vara watched closely and tried it with her paws. It worked. The pack started using vines and leather strips the same way. They traded knowledge. The pack knew hidden water springs, safe paths through deep forest, plants that healed cuts and burns. Ethan showed them how to make fire faster with dry moss and a steel striker, how to store food in cool pits lined with leaves. The cubs learned from both sides. They hunted small game with the pack in the mornings. They played gentle games with Ethan and Laura in the afternoons. They slept wherever they wanted at night, sometimes with the pack under the trees, sometimes back on Ethan's chest like old times. One day Daniel Brooks came to visit. He was a settler who lived 2 valleys over, tall man with a quiet laugh. He brought tools to trade. When he saw the pack resting near the cabin, he stopped walking. His eyes went wide. "Ethan," he said slowly, "are those wolves?" Ethan smiled. "Something like that. They're friends now." Daniel looked at Korak. The alpha stared back without moving. Then Korak dipped his head once. Daniel relaxed a little. He stayed for supper. He listened to the story, the crash, the cubs, the night the pack came for vengeance, how everything changed when they saw the small ones sleeping safe on a human. Daniel shook his head. "Never thought I'd see this." Later, Megan Carter arrived too. She was a xenobiologist from the main colony. Short hair, sharp eyes, notebook always in hand. She came because Daniel told her. She asked many questions. She recorded sounds. Took careful photos from far away. She watched the cubs play between human feet and wolf paws. "This is new," she said. "2 species, different worlds. Building trust like this, it's rare." Ethan shrugged. "We just took care of what needed care." Megan looked at the cubs curled near the fire. "And they chose you back." Word spread slowly through the colony. Not loud, not on big channels, just quiet talk between settlers. People came to see. Some brought gifts, blankets, tools, dried fruit. They left without asking for anything. They just wanted to witness it. A human family tied to an alien pack. Not by chains, by choice. The pack grew stronger too. Wounds healed. Korak's legs stopped dragging so much. New fur covered old scars. The adults taught the cubs to hunt better, to listen to the wind, to know when danger hid close. Then one night, the sky lit up again. Not a storm, not a falling ship, bright flashes far above the trees, silent at first. Then booms rolled in like thunder. Everyone knew what it meant. The Empire's hunters had found the trail. Ethan stood outside with Korak. The Alpha's ears were up. His nose twitched. "They come," Korak said through the translator. Ethan nodded. "We knew they might." Laura brought the cubs inside. She shut the windows, put heavy bars on the door. The cubs sensed the change. They stayed quiet, close. The pack gathered. 12 now. Some new faces from distant kin who had heard the calls. They formed a line across the clearing, eyes on the sky. Ethan picked up his rifle. Not to fight alone, to stand with them. The first black ship broke through the clouds. Small, fast, weapons glowed red along its sides. It scanned the forest, searching. Korak howled once, long, clear. The pack answered. The sound rose high and strong. It carried across the valleys. A warning, a promise. The ship turned toward the clearing. It dropped low. A voice came from above. Cold, mechanical. "Surrender the fugitives, or be destroyed." Ethan stepped forward. Korak walked beside him. "We don't surrender family," Ethan called up. The ship paused. Then weapons charged. But the pack was ready. They moved like shadows, fast, silent. They spread out, used the trees, used the dark. Ethan fired first. Not at the ship, at the ground near it. A warning shot. Dirt exploded. The pack charged. They leaped high, claws scraped metal, teeth found weak spots. One wolf tore at an engine vent. Sparks flew. Another jumped onto a wing, ripped wires. The ship wobbled. More howls came from the forest. Other packs, drawn by the call, they joined the fight. The ship fired once. A beam cut through trees, but the wolves were too quick, too many. Ethan ran closer. He aimed at a sensor dome, hit it clean. The ship spun. Smoke poured out. It tried to climb. Too slow. Engines failed. It crashed hard into the far trees. Metal screamed. Fire bloomed. Silence followed. The pack circled the wreck, checked for survivors, found none. Korak limped back to Ethan. Blood on his fur. Not much. Mostly not his. "You fought with us," he said. Ethan wiped sweat from his face. "You fought for us." They looked at each other. Two leaders. Two kinds. One bond. Back at the cabin, Laura opened the door. The cubs ran out. They jumped on Korak, then on Ethan. Tails wagged fast. Happy whines filled the air. The pack gathered around. They touched noses with the cubs, with Ethan, with Laura. The stars above stayed quiet now. No more ships. Not tonight. Days later the colony talked more. Stories grew. People said a human saved alien young. The aliens came for revenge. But when they saw the cubs sleep on the human's chest, they stopped. They chose peace instead. Settlers told it around fires, on long trips, in messages to Earth. The day vengeance froze. Because trust grew stronger than hate. Because a heartbeat could speak louder than guns. Ethan sat by the fire one quiet evening. The cubs, bigger now, still tried to climb his lap. Not all fit, but they tried. Korak lay nearby, head on paws, watching. Laura sat beside Ethan. She leaned against him. "We made something here," she said. Ethan looked around. At the wolves, at the cubs, at the warm light on wooden walls. "Yeah," he said. "A pack." Outside the wind whispered through the trees. The forest answered with soft sounds. Life went on. Different. Together. Stronger. And in the quiet moments when the cubs slept close, sometimes still on Ethan's chest, the old image stayed alive. The pack that came for vengeance. The alpha that froze. The human who gave them a reason to stay. A new family. Born from ashes. Held by simple kindness. And nothing in the stars could break it now.